Look at this camera right here and give me 3 Shut Up Evans in 3 various vocal intonations.
I mean, isn't that just like what I do to you every day on the phone?
Pretty much, but I want...
Shut up, Evan! Shut up, Evan.
No, you're looking at the camera for it, not me.
Why?
Because it's a social thing.
Oh, I don't know that stuff. You do all my social half the time because I don't understand it. I'm too old. I have to ask Evan all my questions so I can understand how social media works. So shut up, Evan. Shut up, Evan. Shut up, Evan.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Evan Ross Katz.
I will say that of all of the guests I've had on the show, you are, by a long shot, as you might imagine, the most requested.
I just want to clarify that I don't know who I was requested by because the man that makes the decisions has never asked me to be on the show.
I feel, through conversations that we have had, you're not a big podcast person.
I mean, I listen to podcasts. It's just that it's very hard to say yes to some people and no to others. But when do I ever say no to you? Literally, when do I say no to you?
No, you haven't. You've said yes to me in times that if I was your manager, I would have said no.
Right. Or in the pouring rain when I get off of a red-eye flight, who still meets you for lunch.
Wow, this is true. You're a good friend.
Thank you.
April will be our 9-year friendship anniversary.
Is it really? Yeah. Oh, what do you get for the 9-year anniversary? Which I better start shopping.
Well, I feel like we need to go big for 10.
No, I know, but isn't every year you're supposed to get like a wood or like whatever?
I'm on year 2. You would know better than I would.
Well, no, I'm old and it's been so many years. I don't remember what year 9 was like 200 years ago for me.
Yeah, you've got a long marriage.
Yeah, so I got it. We have to learn what you get for year 9.
Okay, so in April of 2017, we met during a taping of Watch What Happens Live. But I don't even know if you fully know the story of how our lives came to intersect.
It wasn't our mutual friend that sent me your phone number, which is why in my phone it still says SMG Stalker to this day when you call.
As it should. Yes, but do you know what it was that instigated our friend to put you in touch with me?
Hint?
So this was back when you were doing Food Stirs.
Okay.
And Food Stirs was finally being distributed at Whole Foods. And so I marched down to the Williamsburg Whole Foods.
Oh my God, and you made that video.
I made a video. I literally took the display of Food Stirs.
Yes, and you fixed it.
Not only did I fix it,
yes.
I quadrupled it.
Yes.
I really made sure that my girl's brand was represented. And that was the inciting incident.
Because I wanted to call and say thank you.
And then I was like, over the years, I was like, then we met. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I know my idol. And then I was like, I'm acquaintances with my idol. And then I was like, I'm friends. I didn't refer to you as friends for a long time. And then you used the word friends.
Are you all listening to this? He didn't refer to me as a friend. I referred to him as a friend. He did not ask me to be on this podcast. I had to ask to be on this podcast. So I just want to clarify how this friendship is a little one-sided.
No, you're right. I'm going to start putting in the work.
Okay. You might need to put in more work. That's all.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm very, very happy to have you here. We have a lot to get into. I feel like I've got to start with Buffy because it makes the most sense.
Okay.
For those that don't know,
I was his bar mitzvah date.
And you were at my wedding.
Well, I wanted to actually physically be at your wedding. I just forget where I was. I physically couldn't be there.
I understand. You've got a busy life. Now, yes, for those that don't know, I had a cardboard cutout that I ordered from Japan.
And this is before there was like Alibaba and all that stuff. I don't even know how you found that.
I used to really work. So for me, fandom is something that's very important to me. And back in my day, you had to work to be a fan. You know, you went to the library, you sought out magazines, you got subscriptions. Yeah, there was a lot. It wasn't as easy as it is today. So yeah, I put in the work. But anyway, ordered these 2 cardboard cutouts. I believe I have a season 3 and a season 5. Admittedly, the season 5 has seen better days.
Why? What were you doing with it?
No, nothing weird. But the season 3 made it to my bar mitzvah and then made it to my wedding as well, because I was like, if you couldn't be there in person and I felt like you needed to be represented, you were part of my wedding speech. I mean, like, yeah, I feel like you are an important figure in my life. I will say too, they have this, you know, the adage, don't meet your idols, but I feel like you have completely buffed that for me.
Aw.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try.
So I wrote this book, Into Every Generation, A Slayer is Born, An Oral History of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You were generous enough to do an interview for the book. And we spoke once for that book, and I had a lot of ground I had to cover, right? But I'm thinking I'm here today, and I'm like, okay, do I have any sort of brimming questions around Buffy, right? And so for me, there's these big benchmark episodes of Buffy, famously The Body, Hush, Once More with Feeling. But for me, and I'm curious for you, the episode that I think really took the show from a good show to the show that it is remembered as is becoming part 1 and part 2? Do you even know what that is?
The season 3 ending. No, that's Me and Faith. No, that is, I mean, I'm really winning here. Because, I mean, I remember the name.
Uh-huh.
Okay, wait, give me a hint.
Season 2.
Is that where I kill Angel?
Yes.
Oh, okay. When I say season 3, I meant 2.
Okay,
I knew what I was talking about. It's the one where we blow up the school, where I kill Angel. No?
You blow up the school in 3.
Yeah.
We're doing good, though.
I'm doing. Yeah, it's the one where I stab him with the knife.
Yeah.
And then
running down the hallway.
Running down the hall with the blue jacket. Yes.
Would you call that cerulean?
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's a Cynthia Rowley jacket. Just see, I do remember weird things.
It is a Cynthia Rowley jacket.
See, it's like, I know that I disappoint people because, like you said, I can't offhand remember this, but I do know.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I actually agree with that whole statement that is like a turning point of both the show, the drama, the performances, even the visuals. My Michael Gershman, who was like my uncle, my father, I mean, everything on that show. That visual of running down in slow-mo on the slide. And
it's television history. So yeah, you would agree though that season 2, that finale, when I kind of think if I were submitting you, well, I mean, there's quite a few episodes, but if I were submitting you for your Emmy, your retroactive Emmy, it would be for the season 2 finale.
Okay.
But I also want to give some love to Buffy season 1. I think when people talk about the show, season 1 is not often given enough shine. And I'm curious for your experience. It's to my understanding that season 1 was shot in its entirety before it aired.
Yes.
Which is unusual, right? Oftentimes a show is, you're able to get a sense of how the audience and how the critics are reacting to something.
I actually have a good story about that. So we shot the whole show in its entirety. We had, no idea. The WB was very tiny at that point. I left the week it came out to go to North Carolina to shoot I Know What You Did Last Summer, where the WB didn't have clearance. So there was no WB where I was, which is funny because then 2 years later, there's Dawson's Creek shooting there. They got WB by then. And so I remember calling Allison Hannigan and asking her, is anybody watching? We had no idea. And it was hard for me to gauge because it just didn't even exist where I was. And then I left that movie and I went to Atlanta to shoot Scream 2. And I was at the mall one day with Neve Campbell and Court, all of us. And some people came up to me and said, "Aren't you the girl from Buffy?" And I was like, wait, because in my mind, no one was watching it because it didn't even exist in the bubble that I had been living in.
So that run you were on at that point, because it's 1996, you're shooting Buffy season 1. As you said, you go to North Carolina, shoot I Know. How soon after was Scream 2?
So we had a week or 2 in between when we finished in North Carolina and before we went up to Santa Rosa for all the road stuff. I auditioned for Scream 2 when I was in LA that week. And then as soon as I wrapped, I went straight from there to Atlanta to shoot.
And Scream was obviously such a huge sensation at the time.
I could not believe I was going to be in that movie.
Got it. Because you wanted that.
Oh, yeah. I remember my audition. I remember seeing Wes in the room and we had this old school telephone and I did my audition. I remember that. And I just remember being surrounded by Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox. I mean, it was just incredible.
And what was it like shooting Cece's famous death sequence? Because, I mean, among the many things I like about it is how lengthy it is. You obviously are a Scream queen, but one of the distinguishing characteristics around a lot of your film roles is that you get prolonged deaths.
Never thought about it that way, but you're right. I do get I'm a drama queen. I like to stretch it out.
Yeah, it's
Give
not
me
just
my
one
moment.
and done.
Give me my moment.
Exactly. But do you remember that?
That in particular, I remember. I was working on Buffy during the day, and then I was doing Scream 2. We shot a couple weeks in Atlanta, and then they had to move the whole movie back to LA because Neve went back to Party of Five, and Courtney was back on Friends, and everyone was on their respective shows. And Neve and I used to live across the street from each other, and we would literally be ships passing in the night, and I would ask her, "Which job are you going to?" And she would yell, "Which job are you going to?" And I can't say enough about Wes Craven, just what a kind and incredible director, friend, cheerleader he was. And even though I was tired and it was a long night and he made it the best. We shot in Pasadena.
And what gave you that sort of drive? You were on Buffy. That could have been your sole thing that you were working on. You were on a hit TV show, but what was it? Is that just kind of who you are? You're sort of just if opportunities strike and you can find the bandwidth, you will make it.
I mean, yes, that is true of me, but at that point, Buffy was still not. It was just a small TV show that look like it was getting a second season at that point, but it was still pretty new.
There is famously a deleted scene from Scream 2. Well, there's stills of it. It's you and Rebecca Gayheart.
Oh, yeah. It's not deleted. It just got cut shorter. Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened was, this is actually a funny story. I shot all these scenes out there, and then for time, like, part of that got cut down, but they didn't feel like there was enough of me in the movie. This is actually I don't know if I've ever told this story, actually.
Wow, we're getting it.
And they wanted to add this extra scene to shoot in LA. And it was a scene with me and Josh Jackson in the classroom. And they had this date, and it was the date I bought a house. No one in my family had ever owned a house. Like, it was this big deal. And it was the day I was moving into my house. And I said, I mean, I'm honored and I love that you want to write me more, but like, I'm moving into I'm 19 years old and I bought a house. It was such a big deal. And they're like, we'll handle your move. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, we'll take care of all of it. And then my agents were like, you're crazy. Like, they want to write you a scene. Like, you're not driving the moving truck, whatever. And I was like, well, I have to pack the boxes. I have to unpack the boxes. They're like, we'll do that for you. And I was like, what? They're like, well, you could hire people. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, we'll hire someone to come to your house, pack up all your stuff or your apartment, I'm not sure what it was, and we'll move you into your house. And I was like, okay, I never heard of this. And so I left my apartment and I went to work. And when I came home, I lived in a new house with everything unpacked. It was the craziest thing I'd ever experienced. Yeah.
Was that like your first big purchase after finding success?
Yes. And then I remember on Buffy, I was the last one to get a new car because everybody got new cars. And in defense, like, my car had air conditioning and power steering. Most of their cars did not have those things. So I was, lucky in that sense. But I was the last one. It was only when we got the back end pickup for the second half of season 2, because we only got picked up for half a season for season 2. And the day we got the order, I was like, okay, finally, I'm getting a new car.
We're set.
So goodbye to the green Chrysler LeBaron.
Wow. Rest in peace. So my favorite season of Buffy is Buffy season 3, and that's the one with Faith.
Yes.
And that would be because of the relationship between these two characters, Buffy and Faith, but also particularly your chemistry with Eliza Dushku. And I've been thinking a lot, like, I'm obsessed with this show, Heated Rivalry, right now.
I know I have not seen it, but I know I need to because I've seen your memes. That's the hockey show.
It's the gay hockey show.
The gay hockey show. I will do my best. You know me. I'm always reading. So it takes me I'm late on shows. You know me. I will watch it, but I'm late. Usually when I'm flying a lot is when I get the most done.
Okay, we've got 6 episodes total. I think you can just mainline it.
Okay.
Worth it.
Okay.
If I recommend it.
Well, I still have to watch All Her Fault because I'm finishing the book right now. So I have to finish the book before I watch the show.
Which is a tremendous show.
Sarah Snook could do anything.
But one of the things for me that makes Heated Rivalry such an incredible show is these chemistry amongst the leads. And you are someone, so many of your great performances involve remarkable chemistry with your fellow actors. And people love to talk about the chemistry between Buffy and Angel and Buffy and Spike. Sometimes Buffy and Riley, but for me, it's really Buffy and Faith. Like, the way you two play off of one another. So can you talk about what it was like having Eliza come on the show and sort of what that did to the equilibrium of the show?
Well, Eliza's a force. Eliza, I had known Eliza for, since we were young. So here's another little known fact. So my manager since I was a teenager is a woman named Joanne Colonna. She was also Eliza's manager. And interestingly enough, she is Ryan Kira Armstrong's manager. So clearly her job description should be, I know how to find slayers. Totally. And so I'd known Eliza a really long time. And, I ask a lot of scene partners. And so when they were casting Faith and they brought up Eliza's name, I was really excited because I knew that she would bring energy and performance. And, it can be a lot to come into an existing show in a role like that. And you need someone that has Eliza's confidence to be able to do it. And she's like a pro. And, I knew that she would really challenge me. And that was exciting to me.
When she came back in season 4, that's my favorite episode of the series.
Oh, where we switched bodies? That was so much fun. Like, we spent some time together. That was a blast.
You are on another level in that episode.
That was one of the most, I have a couple for me that were like the most fun and challenging in the good way. Like, I was excited to tackle that challenge and really spent time studying Eliza and what are the movements I could do and what are the things I could do to be her.
Because on this show, we got to see you play a lot of different versions of yourself. I'm thinking about like Robot Buffy, for instance.
Right.
But also there's like Helpless Buffy in season 3.
That's
when you lose
Halloween?
No. That's season 2, episode 6, Halloween. I'm talking about season 3, Helpless, when you lose your powers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we get to see like the weaker version of the physical.
And then there was the Slayer, the like had no soul, the one in the episode where Willow's the vampire.
Yes.
Another one of my favorites is Superstar.
Yes, from season 6. Yes, very good. Wait, excuse me. Superstar from season 4.
Notice I just say yes because I don't know
I know,
what year they are.
Superstar from season
yes.
4. Okay, wait, really weird fun fact about Buffy. So when I was originally watching the show, this is how psycho I am. I chose specific episodes to not watch when they first aired to save for years later. And Superstar was the last episode of Buffy I ever saw. I saw that episode years after the show aired.
Hi, we were right. Who's the superstar? Danny Strong.
Yes. Danny Strong, who just wrote the book for Chess, the revival currently on Broadway right
Which
now. Which
almost broke me and Evan up.
I loved it. I don't know what you're talking about. What is it you love so much about Chess, though?
So I have a theory about why Chess is splitting some fans. And I think that when you're my age and you were alive and aware enough of the Cold War, you understand the importance of like how a game of chess even could have completely shifted the balance of the Cold War, like how scary that time was. I think for your generation, that's 9/11, right? That's your Cold War. And so I think that everyone that's in their 30s that have seen it has been like, wow, the music's great, but they don't get why the people who may have seen it before and older are like, hold on to it. And I think it's because the Cold War is just something you read about in a school. You just don't understand, like, and again, I'm at the end of the Cold War, but I still remember like how delicate that balance was. And so I think that's my theory. I could be totally wrong. It's just my theory.
So would you say Buffy is to Evan what Chess is to SMG?
I don't think anything compares to what Buffy is to Evan. I think that's in a class of its own.
Okay, is Chess your favorite musical?
Might be.
Now, you're going to be self-deprecating when I ask this, but I've always been curious if you've ever wanted to be in a musical. You're going to say, have you heard me sing? Of course, I've heard you sing famously in the Buffy musical. I like your voice.
You know what's funny? I've actually sang twice. I also sang in the MTV Movie Awards when I hosted with Jack Black, and I had to sing with Jack.
You've sung 3 times.
Are you talking about the commercial when I was like 4 years old when I sang May Your Days Be White when I couldn't say bright?
Okay, 4 times then. You sang, you're going to love me mentioning this, Teen Horniness Is Not a Crime.
Oh my God, I love Teen Horniness Is Not a Crime. But that's like more a song rap. That's a classic, Teen Horniness Is Not a Crime. That's a classic song.
It is, for those who know. Can I ask about Southland Tales?
Yeah, of course.
So Southland Tales is a Richard Kelly film. It premiered at the Cannes Film
In
Festival.
fact, I think that version of it might still be running. It was the longest movie I've ever seen. I think that actual showing of it is still happening.
So this is a movie that you co-starred in with The Rock, Sean William Scott. The cast includes Amy Poehler,
Sherry O'Terry,
Wallace Shawn,
everybody.
Justin Timberlake, Mandy
John
Moore,
Larroquette.
John Larroquette. It is nuts. What do you remember of filming this movie that was expected to be the great follow-up to Donnie Darko and somehow
just didn't work? Well, you know what's funny? When I signed on to it, my character, well, first of all, I think Amy Poehler and I swapped roles. And at one point, it was like a musical on roller skates, which I was very excited about. I'm a very good roller skater. That didn't pan out.
Starlight Express.
Yeah, I do like Starlight Express. I had an absolute blast. I worked with so many of my friends. We had a great time. You know, look, sometimes you swing and you miss, but at least you tried. And I have no regrets about that. I had a great time. We tried being my size and trying to do a love scene with The Rock. And he was they're like, we can't see Sarah. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I just imagine one of the odd things about being an actor is that you make something, you're so invested in it, there's a preciousness to it, and then it's this vocation in which you have to then release the thing that you made.
Look, it can be really hard. You know, sometimes I've had this happen to me too, where I've signed on for a movie with a script and then you get there. It's happened to me many times. And by the time you get there, the script has changed so much. It's not the same job, but you're signed on. You can't leave. Or sometimes you even film a movie, and then in the editing process, it becomes something else. I think that's now why producing is so important to me, that I have a stake in what I'm making so that I know the job that I set out to do is what gets made. And, you know, sink or swim, right? Then at least I will say that was what I meant to do. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least it's the job I meant to do. So
when did you first begin to have the ambitions to start to produce your own work?
Oh, I think I always wanted to. It's just that is not easily afforded to you.
So you kind of had to fight for it.
Yeah, I still have to fight for it. I'm not a producer in name. I'm like not one of those actors that like just wants the name to be producer. Like, no, I want to say, and I want you to listen to what I have to say, and not everyone wants that.
I want to listen to what you have to say.
Thank you.
One of those scripts, we're talking about, movies that change in the gestation period between script and production and maybe even final product, was Scooby-Doo. I remember at the time when the film was first announced, it was going to be this sort of like, not mocking, but it was going to it was a whole different vibe.
Yeah, so it's funny. I've had a whole trajectory with this movie because there was a time where I really was upset about it, and it was not the movie I set out to make. Now, in hindsight, all these years later, I totally appreciate it, and I love it, and it'll totally make me laugh. But there was a time where it was like a disappointment in the sense of, what we were sold was not what it was. So basically, if I don't know who those of you who remember, there was those Brady Bunch movies, and it was kind of like a satirical version of it, and sort of that's what this was pitched. Like Fred was sleeping with all the groupies, and like I had this great line where we get into this fight, and then I slam the door in his face, and I'm like, and that ascot makes you look gay, Like it was just like all the things that you think about watching. There was more stoner joke, like all the things you think, and then in the end, they decided for their audience, and by the way, they were right. In that sense, that this movie worked better as a kid's movie, and to make it a family movie, you have to take those things out of it. And so at the time in my 20s, I was young, right? I was like 22 maybe. Like, I wanted to make the like sexier, more esoteric version, but that's not what the audiences wanted. And now I appreciate it. But at the time, yeah, I probably was a little like, well, that wasn't what I wanted to make kind of thing. But that's stuff that's in your 20s, right? You think of things differently.
Was it weird returning to the Buffy set after having shot this major motion picture Scooby-Doo and then being like, okay, it's back to like...
Well, also little known fact, I shot Scooby-Doo 1 at the same time as I was shooting Buffy. They were both Warners. Buffy shot in LA and Scooby shot in Australia. And so I flew every 2 weeks back and forth from Australia. So season 5, I came back and shot Buffy's big death. Spoiler alert, she dies at the end of season 5.
And the end of season 1.
But I was shooting that whole sequence while traveling back and forth from Australia.
How did you do it?
Flying was different then. There was no internet on the plane. There was no, and it was a longer flight. It was 17 hours then, and then another like hour up to the Gold Coast. And so that was 17 hours of real decompression for me, where I would read, I would sleep, I would watch whatever movie they put on the screen because there was an individual movies in the chairs and there was no iPads then. So it was actually like a little bit of grounding, forced me time. It was actually kind of nice.
What about the rigor of like the Buffy days? Because it's my understanding that like you were pulling like 18-hour days sometimes.
So their rules have changed. The hours were very, very different. There was no cap on hours. So I remember, so there's these things called forced calls, which is with our union, you're supposed to get 12 hours from when you wrap to when you have to come back so you can sleep. You can break it, but you have to pay an actor. And I was like a starving actor. So like the first couple episodes, I was like, this is amazing. I'm making all this extra money. And then it was like, oh, I'm sacrificing my entire health because I'm getting no sleep. And so, yeah, we would work 18, 19. We would start on Mondays at 6 a.m. We'd wrap, maybe 8 or 9 p.m. on Monday. But by Friday, we started at 6 p.m. and we'd wrap at 6 or 7 a.m. when the sun came up. But then you only had one day to turn around before you had to get back for the Monday at 6 a.m. And I worked every day because if I wasn't on main unit, it was stunt unit. It was, second, it was whatever. So it was physically very demanding. And, thankfully they don't shoot shows like that anymore. Nobody would ever shoot 22 episodes with one leading character doing that much physical work with 18-hour days. It just wouldn't happen.
Right. So what is it like for you to look at the current television landscape in which so many shows that are out today are 6, 8, 10, 12 is now considered a lengthy season of television. That 22, 24 episode model that I grew up with is pretty much evaporated.
I feel like there's a happy medium. I know that as a television fan, and I am a big television fan, I don't feel that 6 is enough.
You hear that heated rivalry?
Well, studios will tell you that 6 to 8 is the sweet spot, but I don't know where their algorithms come from. And again, I'm of a different generation. Like I watch kids these days and, they like scroll and they do this and, I still put my phone down when I watch something and I'm intently watching it. In fact, yesterday, you would appreciate this because I was teasing my daughter because she missed something on Survivor because she had like looked at her phone. I was like, well, that's what you get. I'm not telling you, you know?
Yeah, you gotta pay attention.
You gotta pay attention. But of course she doesn't because she can rewind. I couldn't rewind my TV when I was a child, right? So I had to learn. So I think maybe that's where these algorithms come from. But I think there's a happy medium. I think 22 is very, very difficult to sustain a level of quality from everybody, from writers, from the gaffers that have to hold, that do the lights. Like for everybody, that's a lot. But I don't think 6 is enough. But I don't run a studio, so.
Well, but can I tell you something that I think a lot about? Because a 22 episode season spans 5 or 6 months. And I think part of the reason why Buffy has the legacy it has and why so many shows of that time and even before that are so important to so many of us is because, as you know, television is the medium in which you come into our homes. When you're doing a 6-8 episode season of a show, you're only in our home for, 6 weeks, 2 months.
Or you're binging it all at once.
I was going to ask you about that as well. But needless to say, it's like one thing that I just miss is the ability to be with characters that you love as you're developing and getting older and feeling like they're with you in your development.
I feel like The Pit is a good example. Did I wish there was maybe a little more? Sure, but I felt good. I felt satisfied. I felt like I had enough time with these characters. I'm excited for it to come back, but it didn't feel too short.
And then what are your thoughts overall on the binge model? Because that's something that did not exist at all when you were coming up.
I worry that modern society has lost a lot of our patience, and there's something beautiful in the excitement of waiting for something, of waiting for the next episode to come. And I like it when they drop an episode. I like when they drop 2 episodes or 3 episodes in the beginning, and then you have to wait each week, and then it's up to you how you want to watch it. I don't mind if you have the ability. Like maybe one person wants to binge and one person wants to get excited on every Sunday night to have that White Lotus episode. And I do like it in the sense that it gives the viewer the choice, but I like to wait. I don't wait till the end and then binge it. Unless I'm late on something, which also does happen.
As someone who likes to be in the conversation, I like that week-to-week structure because I feel like you can start to see people getting on board with something and you can start to feel the momentum. Yeah. Whereas the binge, I have trouble sometimes where something will drop in full and I'm logging on to Entertainment Weekly and it's like, can you believe this happened in the finale? And I'm like, what?
Wait, I haven't even seen the first episode.
Yeah, and then I feel behind and I don't like that feeling. And so I'm just sort of like, well, why even invest?
And Instagram too, ruined the TikTok, whatever, like that spoilers too is really hard.
Do you think I'm fucking up in terms of, do you think I'm putting out memes too quickly sometimes?
Well, I think a couple things. I think that you never do it right away. There's always a little bit of a pause. Secondly, I think that you have disclaimers. Secondly, the way your memes are, it's not like a huge, big written headline where it's like, so-and-so won Survivor. And then I'm like, great, why am I watching? I have to really read it. So what I do with yours is like, and I don't scroll a ton, as you know, on Instagram. I'm not on it a lot. But if I do scroll and if it's a show I haven't gotten to, I just know to keep going and I will come back to it when I watch it so that it's not all given away at once.
Right.
And I'm not just saying that because you're my friend. I'm being honest.
I appreciate it.
It's my feedback.
Thank you. I always take your feedback. You know I do. You've invoked Survivor.
Well, I figure it's coming, so I may as well. Like, it is one of the things we've bonded on.
Absolutely. But I don't think a lot of people know. I mean, I think maybe people know you watch Survivor. I don't think people know just like how big of a fan you are of this show.
My daughter beats me because she'll say like, remember in season, she's like you. She'll be like, remember in season 30, so and so and so. I'm like, what? Who? But I do love the show.
So for people that don't watch, I mean, we watch, so we know. But can you explain to people that are like, wait, that show is still on, why people like us love this show?
It's good TV. I mean, it's drama. It's human conflict. I think it's the reality of human conflict and these situations. It doesn't have a lot of producer intervention, which I think a lot of reality shows do, and that sort of ruins the magic for me. It's a real case study on the human psyche. Am I getting too deep about why I like Survivor?
No, that's why I love it.
I love a good villain.
And we get a lot of them on this show.
Yes. Although sometimes I think they try to create them. I like Savannah on this show, but they keep trying to say Savannah's the new Parv, and it's like, no, she doesn't compare to our Parv.
I agree. Speaking of Parv, who is on your Survivor Mount Rushmore?
My Mount Rushmore is Parvati. We all know that.
Okay. Well, speaking of which,
Did I just give you the perfect lead-in?
I put out a call to 2-time Survivor winners. Speaking of which, have you done Australia versus the World yet?
I'm going to. You know that. It is on my list.
You need to call me when you do.
Well, she was going to watch it with me. That was the original plan. And then I was not here when it started to air. So
here is 2-time Survivor winner Parvati Shallow with a question for you.
Sarah, my girl, it's Parvati. Thank God for Evan putting us together those years ago, because you are my inspiration, an absolute queen, icon, legendary woman who has walked this earth for decades. And you've been inspiring us all for so many years. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm going to ask you a question. It's kind of a weird one, because you're the quintessential cool girl baddie. I gotta get a little weird. Okay, if the aliens come to Earth and they say, Sarah, we're gonna take you with us to our planet. It's utopia. You're gonna wanna do this. You can only bring one person and one thing with you. What do you bring? You have to go. I mean, Earth is gonna self-destruct in this scenario. So you have to go, and you can bring one thing and one person. Okay, let me know. Love you.
Okay, I love you, girl. And I would say you because you wrote it, but Parv, but I have to bring my family. I know that's not one person, but like I'm not going anywhere. If I can't bring my family, like I'm not, that's my reason for everything. So like that's a non-starter. I'll stay on the hell of Earth if I have to, if that means I get to stay with my family. And if I could only bring one thing, like one earthly possession, honestly, I'd probably bring my Kindle. Like super load it and have my books, because that's my favorite me time is reading.
But what is it that you love so much about books?
I think it's the stories. I think that most actors have a good imagination, right? We play pretend for a living. And when I read a book, that's when the entire movie is in my mind. You know, a lot of times they'll make an adaptation and it's like, oh, I didn't see it that way. Or this is when I get to make the movie in my head. So it still is part of what I love to do, but I get to create the whole thing.
Does it make you sad that more young people are not reading?
It just breaks my heart because they're missing out. I also love the printed book. Like the funny thing is I say a Kindle, but we all know that like I will pack my suitcase with as many hardcovers on vacation as I can before I then go to the Kindle for what's left, especially now they like really weigh my suitcases. Because if I have my preference, I want to read a hardcover book. I like to turn pages. Freddie and I were just discussing that. Like I still print my scripts. Like I still have to have hard copies of my scripts. A lot of actors today just do them on their iPads and stuff, but I like pages. And I worry that without people reading, not that the format's going to go away, because people listen to books on tape and all that. I just worry that the printed book is going to go away, and it really is such an art form. I collect first edition books. Like I love books.
Controversial question. Do you believe that listening to a book on tape is the same thing as reading the book?
Look, I just want people to read. I don't judge, you know, if people like reading comic books, if people like reading scripts, I just want you to use that creative outlet of your mind. And so I really don't care how you're taking that in. I just want you to enjoy these people's stories and what they work for. So I really don't judge how people read. You know, I spend a lot of time in my car. So if that's how people want to spend the time, especially with traffic being so frustrating, great.
I do want to say, though, Parvati said that in her scenario that the world is ending. I do like if anyone was going to save the world in this scenario, it would be you. So it's like in the end, I don't even think you would need to go, because I think somehow you'd find a way and we'd all be okay. Now, you and I are both huge Sex and the City fans.
The biggest.
In season 3 of Sex and the City, the girlies take a trip to Los Angeles in one of I think the most memorable episodes, and you show up as an unnamed character.
D-girl.
You might actually have a name. Do you have a name? You wouldn't remember.
Somebody Google it. Do I have a name? Debbie. My name was Debbie.
SMG historian with misinformation.
I said D-girl, so I was closer.
Yeah,
I win.
You.
I win.
But anyway, I'm so fascinated by this because, again, we're talking about these times when you have so much going on and you suddenly just make time, because this is in the thick of Buffy, but you find time to shoot Sex and the City.
So I was the biggest Sex and the City fan. Still am. I still watch it all the time. I even watch it on the reruns on E! With the commercials. And everyone's like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm that diehard. And I was friends with Darren Star, mainly because I stalked him and I wanted to be his friend because I love Sex and the City. And I was like, I want to be on an episode. So he offered me a couple, and then it just never timed out. I couldn't go. And I was so upset. And he was like, don't worry. We're coming to LA. We're going to do an episode. I will write you something for LA. So he calls and he's like, okay, I wrote it, whatever. To make it work, I worked on Buffy all day. And then I had a 9 p.m. call time for Sex and the City.
after shooting Buffy.
After shooting Buffy all day. And I said, are you really going to get to me at 9 p.m.? Because if you're not, like, give me a 1 a.m. call time. Like, I don't care. Little known fact, nighttime, when you shoot at night, it actually has to be night. We can't make it suddenly. People always ask me, why do you work nights? It's like, well, when it's night out, it's night. And if your restaurant has windows, like, there you go.
Which meant a lot of nights on Buffy.
And vampires don't come out. That's Twilight really fixed that, man. They figured out how to do that. I give them all the credit in the world. They're like, no, vampires, they just twinkle in the daylight. I'm like, why did we never think of that?
Well, there's always the reboot.
And I'll take that note. And, noted. And they're like, no, we're totally going to get to you. And I just had this feeling that they weren't going to. And so Teamsters, God bless them, they are the backbone of every job you ever do. They were like, we're going to bring your trailer from Buffy just so you have your stuff and whatever. So I finished. They brought my trailer. And sure enough, I got there at 9 p.m. I don't think I was on camera until almost 3 or 4 in the morning that night. But I didn't care. I was on Sex and the City, and I slept in my own bed. So, like, it was a win-win. I just slept in a parking lot.
Did you have to be on set at Buffy the next day?
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, my God. Do you remember any of your lines from Sex and the City?
Well, I do remember that they had not secured McConaughey yet. And so when she tells the big news, so the reason we do that is because we had to figure out a creative way because we had no idea who it was going to be at that point. And so that's that. And trying to make that work was a little tricky. But
yeah, that's a memorable ADR for me.
Yeah.
But do you remember any of your other lines?
You're a loser. Loser! Yeah, I do remember that.
Now, why didn't Debbie appear on And Just Like That?
I asked Michael Patrick King that.
What the fuck?
I thought Debbie was like running a studio now. Debbie. We're on first name basis now.
She was junior, and in the time since, she really elevated her way through the industry.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Knives Out.
Okay, I'm not in that. But I heard it's really good. I do love Daniel Craig. I'm a huge Daniel Craig fan.
Do you ever have like a brain fart where like you want to say one thing and the other? Yeah.
No, I'm perfect.
I want to talk about Ready or Not
I hope
too.
you don't cut that, please.
Maybe I'll keep it in.
Because it's kind of great.
But on that note, I would love to see you in a future Knives Out film. This seems like it's really becoming,
okay, great.
A franchise.
Let's do it.
Yes, I actually think that I planted this as a way to sort of put you, in contention for the 4th film that has not yet been announced. But in addition to being excited about Knives Out 4, Ready or Not 2, I am so excited to see you in this film for a lot of reasons. You have not been in a film that is in theaters in quite a long time.
Well, I mean, I think, I took a lot of years off.
Yeah.
I took a lot of years off, and I feel like I'm first getting my sea legs back now and like ready to work now that my kids are older.
I want to hear about this because I feel like you consciously decided to step back from your career and really prioritize home life. And I mean, you had many things going on. You had side businesses at the time as well, so I don't want to diminish that.
No, but it's different. I was, I had children back to back. I started Crazy Ones when my son was 3 months old. I mean, I was breastfeeding the entire time. And then Robin passed away and everything just sort of hit me. It was like the postpartum hit me, and that loss was so huge. And I felt a little directionless for the first time in my life. And I thought maybe that's my sign that like I'm not living the moments enough, like because they can go away so quickly. And at that point, I just said I needed to take a break. And I'm so glad I did on so many levels. Like, first of all, I'll never get that time back with my kids. I didn't miss a show, a performance, a first step, a lost tooth. Like, there was every moment I was able to be there for. And that's not something you can do as a working actor. Our days are long. We travel a lot. Like, I couldn't have done that. I also got to a place where I realized how much I actually missed it. And now I appreciate it in a different way. I also pick my projects differently now. I used to have this, like, I need to know what my next job is. I have to work defined how I thought of myself. But now work is just a part of how I think of myself. And so now I pick jobs because I really want to work with that person, or I think this would be so much fun, or, I don't have this desire to prove stuff that I used to have. It feels like I also didn't want to be that person that all of a sudden then my kids left and then I was directionless again, because when you do step away from acting, you never know if there's going to be a career to go back to. It doesn't matter who you are. Sometimes audiences move on and that's okay. Like, that's acceptable. And I'm very, very grateful that I have found that that's not been the case and there's still a place for me.
Well, I'm wondering, when you stepped out on stage, was it Sao Paulo Comic Con for Dexter Original Sin? The audience went fucking crazy.
That was really emotional. Like that, you know, you're trying to keep it fun and keep it light, but that was really, it meant a lot to me.
And I feel like that tenor that was set in that moment has been present over the past few years. I'm a cultural anthropologist at the end of the day, and I really have a feel of like, who are the people that people really get out of their seats for? And people that are fans of yours, I can say this as the historian, they love you, and you went away for some time, and when you come back, they're waiting for you.
I'm very lucky, and it's not lost on me.
But like, what do you think it is about you? And I know I'm not asking you to diagnose yourself here, but like, what is that characteristic that makes people so up out of their seats for you?
I mean, I hope it's that they know how much I love what I do and that I really do it for them. I was actually telling someone earlier, I remember on Buffy, I was telling the story earlier today, that they used to get, every year the awards nominations would come out, right? The Golden Globes, the Emmys, whatever, and Buffy never got nominated.
You got a Golden Globe nomination in 2001.
I got one. I did get one. And the cast, the crew, they would be so bummed. And I had this experience years ago, and I'm very fortunate for it. When I was on All My Children, everything's about the Emmys, right? It's like, is this my Emmy reel? Like, that's all anyone thinks about, because soaps are constant. Like, there's no break. And I remember nominated for an Emmy my first year. I lost the first one. Second year, I get nominated, and they call my name. And I go on stage, and I make my speech. And then I was done, and I went back and sat in the audience for the rest of the show. And I thought, I don't feel any different. Like, I don't feel like I'm any better. I don't feel like it made me a better actor. And so it sort of like took away that mystique of awards, so that I didn't have that like craving. And I used to say every year on the show, but like, yeah, so okay, we don't get nominated for the Golden Globes, but we win every fan award. Like if there's a People's Choice and a Teen Choice and MT, like we win those.
Yeah.
Blockbuster, whatever those awards are. And like, that's why we do it. We make it for those fans. And so that always meant more to me than those other awards, like the value that I put into it. And I'm not belittling anyone who wants to win those other, like everyone has their value system and it's valid, right? But this was mine. And so I hope the fans know that like, they're the reasons why I do it and why I love it and why I make this stuff, you know?
I think that fans like the fact that you talk about your old projects with such reverence and are like, yeah, you have a lot of things that formative media for so many people. You might not have the sharpest memory around some of these, but you talk about the works that you've done with a great amount of care and love that I think fans have for those.
Look, as an actor, it's all about making a legacy and making a mark. And, you know, you hope you get that one role one day that like means something to someone and that years later it still holds up and people still care about it. And I have more than one of those. And like, that's crazy. Like every year at Halloween, people don't realize, like I see people wear all different costumes from characters I played. Like that's crazy. That means so much to me. Like those are the moments for me that have the most meaning in terms of fans.
Okay, so not Knives Out, but Ready or Not 2. What was it for you that made you want to sign on to this film? This is the first time in over a decade that we're going to go to the cinema and see you up on our screen. Additionally, it is your return to a genre that, for many, you are a defining figure in.
I mean, it was just the easiest decision I've ever made to make this movie. I get a phone call. They're like, did you ever see Ready or Not? I was like, yes. They're making a second one. And I was like, what? Because it's been a lot of years since the first one. And I was like, okay. And I read it and I was like, I love this. I see it. I get it. I got on a Zoom with the directors. I think it was the next day. And about 10 minutes into the conversation, I was like, yes, I'll do it. It was just the easiest decision. It was such a great experience. Like this cast, like I love this cast. Like we had so much fun. Normally on jobs, it's like, you know, you're tired, you're away from home. It's like on your break, you go to your corner, some people knit, some people read, some people call, like whatever it is. Like we were all moving our chairs closer and closer and closer together. Like it's just, we have so much fun as a group. And I think I saw the movie last week. Like I think it really shows.
And in this film, we have David Cronenberg playing your father. I can't get over that.
Neither could I, and neither could Sean. Like we both were like, wait, what?
What was it like not only working with him, but getting to work with this iconic director, but in a role in which he's not directing you. He's your co-star.
Honestly, we kept asking him, like, you know, is it weird for you? And he was like, no. He's like, I'm here as an actor. Like, I like learning from other directors. Like, don't you take from other actors? And I was like, yeah, I guess I do all the time. I watch other actors, their process, their, you know, how they do things. I guess it's the same thing. And then we would, like, Sean and I would like, what do you think? Do you have any notes for us? And he's like, I'm not giving you guys notes. Like, I'm just, okay. I'm like, fine, as my scene partner.
Yeah, as my scene partner.
I'm like, Sean gives me notes all the time. Like, he doesn't think twice. I love you, Sean.
So another one of your co-stars in this film is the great Kathryn Newton.
Oh my God, I love my
And Kathryn wanted to call in with a question for you.
SMG, it's your girl, Kathryn Newton here, and Buddy, who's really excited about this video. I have a lot of questions for you. One being, who's the next guy you're going to set me up with? Just kidding. That's for us later. I'm still waiting for that call. Not for the pod. This is not a convo for the pod. But I really feel like I got lucky, like striking gold, to get to a place in my career where I got to work with you, someone who has laid the groundwork for the next generation of, yes, scream queens, but also just young actresses who want to have a long-lasting career like you have. And I really want to know, I can't believe I haven't asked you this yet, but it's because when I'm with you, I just kind of want to like chit-chat and not be a fangirl. But I do want to know, seriously, when you were my age or younger, because I know you were younger when you started Buffy, I just want to know if you had a long-term plan. Like, are you one of those people who I have a 5-year plan in my head, and this is what I'm going to stick to every day. I'm working towards those goals. Or were you more like a day-by-day person? Because there's benefits to both of them. And I kind of want to know if you had one. I want to know what your work ethic was like because of either being day-by-day or having that 5-year plan. Because I want to know if I should get one. And a boyfriend. I love you, and I can't wait to do more press with you on this Ready or Not tour. And I just love you so much, and I just think you're a legend.
Okay, first of all, I have to tell you something. So we walked out of the movie, Freddie and I, my husband, and literally we both turned to each other and said, Kathryn is such a fucking star. It was literally okay, Samara is incredible in this film. She's such a great actor, and Samara grounds this movie. Like the movie Ready or Not works because you're following this girl's journey, and as ridiculous as it is as real as it feels. That being said, if Kathryn Newton isn't the biggest star after this movie comes out and doesn't get to lead her own, I'll eat my words, because she deserves it. And wait till you see her in this movie.
I can't
like
wait.
She's so great. So I had a plan. I wanted to be a working actor. When I was younger, would like watch Law and Order, and you'd see that actor that was like, I've seen them before. What have I seen them in? Oh, they're really good in that. And you didn't like really know who they were, but they got to do the job they love. And that was my biggest goal. I think I've got that.
Yes.
And so then I stopped planning, and I learned, the one thing that I've learned is when you plan too much and when you're on a job and you're already thinking about the next one, like you miss the moments. I'm not as worried about that stuff. I enjoy what I'm doing so much more. So I would almost say don't have a 5-year plan, and nothing ever works out that way. And then sometimes you force it too. So everything Kathryn is doing right now, I'll tell you right now, she's doing it right because she's so great. And I am lucky to call her my friend. I do have a guy. We have spoken about this. I'll tell you later who it is. I think you'll approve.
Actor?
Maybe.
Okay.
But you know who you are if you're watching this.
So let's talk about this partnership with Olay. I know you well enough to know that you do not work with just any brand.
No.
And I also know you well enough to know that you work with brands that make products that you actually use.
Yes.
You first partnered with Olay in 2019. What was it that made you want to come back years later and re-partner with them?
Well, it wasn't re-partner. It was like kept asking them why I wasn't still their partner. I think might actually be more accurate. So I did their first ever Super Bowl commercial, which was my first and only Super Bowl commercial, which everyone has their own benchmarks. Like, we were talking earlier about like some people want to win awards. Like, there's been moments in my life where I've had these like pinch me moments. Hosting Saturday Night Live, right? Having a Super Bowl commercial is like up there as one of those. Hosting MTV Movie Awards, like those are my bigger like pinch me moments. But then I really like got to know everyone at Olay, and we really like talked about how we could have a meaningful partnership, not just like I'm in your commercial, but like, what does it look like on a deeper level? And then we got a little waylaid by this thing called COVID, and then this thing called the actors strike. But I really realized that like when I grow up, I want to be Olay. I know this sounds weird, but hear me out. This is a brand that's been around for 70 years, right? People like it, people love it, people trust it. Yet they constantly evolve and work to make their product better. And that's who I want to be. I want to be around for 70 years, and I want to keep reinventing myself, learning from the world around me, the science around me, and be the best me I can be. And the other thing about Olay that I really like has to do with accessibility. And yes, I'm an actor. I get to try all these, fancy treatments and this and that, but like that's not the reality for the world. And to be able to make a product that can have that kind of difference for everybody, I can really stand behind. And then on top of it, I see people younger and younger getting facelifts all over the world. Not just actors, I'm talking like influencers and, people on the street. And then it makes me question, like, should I be doing that? But I'm an actor and I need to be able to use my face. I need to be able to do all those faces. And so what can I do that will keep my face looking the way it does without taking those drastic measures? And I have used Olay. I go back to it. It is a product I trust. And so it's really easy and exciting to not only have that partnership, but to remind everybody that they can have access to those things too. Nobody, or maybe there's a few, but like, I'm sure you just were with the Fannings. Like, I'm sure people constantly bring them pictures of them when they're 7 and 8 and 9, and that continues. And so you're constantly looking at yourself when you're younger, and it can mess with you a little bit. And at the same time, I'm happier where I am now, and I feel more confident. But at the same time, I also know I'm not 22 anymore. And, how do you balance those?
Well, speaking of those side-by-sides, I mean, when you hit the red carpet for the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot premiere, a lot of people, myself included, started doing side-by-sides.
I posted your side-by-side, or you made mine, basically, yeah.
Because I think the sentiment behind it was, oh my effing God, you do not age. And the idea of that is meant really nicely, right? It's people trying to say like, you look amazing.
But it can mess with your mind and other people's minds.
Right. It's intended as complimentary, but what it fails to convey is the idea that it actually is a wonderful thing to age, right? And so while we can celebrate the fact that you looked great then and you look great now, we also don't have to do it with under this sort of framework of, isn't it amazing how you don't look like you've gotten older? It can be like, you look like you've gotten older and you look great.
And that's what I love about Olay, right? That's what they're representing, that they are here for women at the different stages of their life. They have products, because also the stages are different. It's like why they always say, like, I have a teenage daughter and there are some of my products that are not made for her. Like, she does not need to be using retinol at 16 years old. And so, I need a product with retinol because that's the part of my life that I'm in. And that's okay to celebrate that. It's okay to say I am in my 40s. Like by the way, I can't hide my age. Like by being a child actor, like I can't shave anything off anywhere because everybody knows what year I was born. And so that's it. It's there for everyone to know. And so how do I celebrate that, but still feel good about it? And look, there were years where I felt like I stopped caring and I didn't look my best. And I see the difference. Like when I use the right products, when I exercise, when I eat well, like those are, and also when I'm happy. And those combinations are the ultimate success for looking your best at any age.
And I imagine too, just by the fact that your job, not only are you spending so much time on screen making films and TV shows and whatnot, but here, where we are right now, and the press aspect of it, and red carpet, so much of the work that you do is spent under a microscope.
And I'm under a huge microscope. And you have to remember, too, that, like, there's this double sword now with social media, right? Because when you're playing a role, like, you can't have the most perfect beauty lighting in the world that hides everything. Like, yes, I would love it, but then it wouldn't be real.
Yeah.
And so as actors, we have to be able to expose that side of ourselves.
Yeah.
So there has to be that balance. But then you look on Instagram where everything can be so perfect, but you have to remember that's not real. And I tell my friends, I tell my child that, like, this is not what I look like when I woke up this morning.
It's not?
No. You've seen me without makeup on. I mean,
you still look amazing, but
you.
Needless to say. Now, you were told early in your career about the importance of skincare and how it doesn't just stop at the jawline. Who was it that gave you?
David DeLeon.
Okay.
So I have these two makeup artists, Todd McIntosh and David DeLeon. And they started with me on Buffy and took me through. David has been my makeup artist on and off for all of these years. He retired last year. And so did Todd. And I actually got to give Todd the award at the Makeup Guild for his retirement and his lifetime achievement, which was like really full circle. But a lot of what I learned came from them. And that was really like the best advice they ever gave. Because it's like, you wash your face, you do this, right? And it's like, especially for women, it's like, it goes all the way here.
Wow. I mean, that's
but it's true. And hands.
You have been hitting the gym a ton. Is that for Buffy, or do you think this would be your workout regimen in life right now if it wasn't a part of your job?
Yes and yes. I mean, it's part of my life anyway. I love going to the gym. I definitely live off those endorphins. I feel better. I know I look better than I did when I wasn't going to the gym like this. But I'd be lying if I said it also didn't have to do with that. Mainly on a physical aspect, not a visual aspect. I'm not worried about what I look like visually. I want to make sure that my body can handle what it takes to do that. I mean, even on Ready or Not, there a couple of days I was like, oh God, I'm not as young as I used to be. Even Sam, who's much younger than me, was like, there were some days where she's like, yeah, I'm not as young as I was in the first movie.
I mean, it's a very physical film, even just from the looks of the trailer. Now, we started with Buffy. I want to close out with Buffy. Obviously, we have, are we calling it a reboot? What do we want? What's the nomenclature here? This is important.
Okay, I have thoughts. Shocking, I know. It's not a sequel. It's not a reboot. It's a continuation. I think so, because where is she now in this world, and what is this world that Buffy lives in with her and without her, kind of exploration. So it's not a reboot. It's not picking up with all of the same characters right away. It is not like a sequel reboot. I just think it's Sunnydale. That's why the name was even important to me, and Buffy New Sunnydale. Like it's Buffy, but it's also something else.
We don't know a ton about the show just yet.
You're talking about we. I know plenty. I'm just messing with you.
I know a little bit. But is there anything that you want to use this opportunity to reveal about the show?
Actually, I do. There's a couple things I'd like to say. Not reveal anything, no. I don't want to reveal anything. I always said I would never do it.
You absolutely said you would never do it.
And I have learned a very hard lesson in life. There's a reason why that saying is never say never. So I will eat my words, and I'm okay with that. Like, I learned my lesson. That's totally fair. I never saw how to do it. I never saw how and why it could be as good, I'm not trying to be better. I just want to hold up, right? I want to hold and honor the memory and what we created. And I know sometimes that memory is conflicted for people about how they're supposed to feel about it. But a lot of people put their blood, sweat, and tears into making what I think is an incredibly great show, and I'm incredibly proud of it. But Chloe Zhao came to me, and not just her passion, because I've seen people with passion before, but she knew how to go into the world. She knew what the world was, and she knew the why. And that was the first time I said, maybe could I possibly do this? And this went on for, 3 years now, probably, of me and Chloe going back and forth, saying I could do it, saying I can't, and really spending the time to develop what it is and why it is. We're still working on that. Why and how. And I know we live in a society where we want like binging, we want it now. And I know this seems like it's taking a long time. And it's because unless we are sure that it is exactly what we set out to do and that it makes sense to do it, we don't want to sully the legacy by not. So when I know it's perfect, then it will be out there, but I won't do it unless I know it can be that, if that makes sense.
It does. When I had Lee Pace on the podcast recently.
Don't you refer to him as 6'4" Lee Pace?
6'5".
I'm sorry. What do I know? Everyone's taller than me. 6'5" Lee Pace.
When I had him on the podcast recently, I asked him to choose a Lee Pace deep cut to recommend that people watch. He chose is it 2009 or 2011?
I have no idea.
I know. I'm just really failing today as a historian. Anyway, he chose the film Possession.
Okay, he chose that because of my relationship with you. I don't think he did that as like, this is the Lee Pace movie to watch. I just want to clarify.
Fair enough. But I love that answer. I want to use that same question.
To ask me what Lee Pace's movie is my favorite?
Okay, yeah. I think I know the answer.
You do? What am I going to say?
You're going to say The Fall.
Nope.
No. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy or something.
Oh.
Soldier's Girl?
Does it have to be a movie?
Oh.
I do love Soldier's Girl.
Oh, Pushing Daisies. Yeah, obviously.
I so badly. I used to beg. I used to say to Brian, "When am I coming on? When am I coming on? I want to be on the show."
That would have been fun.
And Brian said, "Okay, when we come back after the strike," because I was going to be a magician. I don't remember what it was, but then they made the stupid decision to cancel my favorite show, and I didn't get it.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with that. What is your favorite show of all time?
Picking art is like picking children. There's so many. I don't think I have a favorite show of all time, but I have one random that you might not have seen that I think you would love. Have you ever seen a show called Soap?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Like someone needs to redo Soap. I also we were just yesterday, I think someone needs to bring back Swan's Crossing.
Thank you for bringing up Swan's Crossing to close us out. But I want to ask you the lead question now. So in the filmography, in the oeuvre of Sarah Michelle Gellar, there are a lot of deep cuts. I know mine.
I just said Swan's Crossing. Go for it.
I want to film.
I know what you want me to say.
No, I actually have another one. You think that I'm going to say Simply Irresistible. There, I said it. But I have another one. I love Suburban Girl.
Oh. You know, when you asked me earlier about a movie that you set out to make that can kind of be a disappointment, like, I totally forgot about, I couldn't believe that book, Girls Guide to Hunting and Fishing, was just one of my favorites. And I could not, I met with the director and I wasn't even on the list at the beginning. Like the list was way longer than my name was ever going to have a chance, you know, like the Royal Succession, it was never happening for me. And I met with the director and I just like laid it all out, why I love this book, why I love this character. And then I get a call that he wants me to do it. And let me tell you, this movie fell apart so many times. And I just was determined to keep it together. I stalked the leading actor, like begged him, he backed out. I convinced him to come back. You know, I love that movie. And it just didn't totally work in the end. Part of the problem was we didn't even have rights to the name because the book was sold off by chapters. And so we couldn't even call it Girls Guide to Hunting and Fishing, which is such a bummer. So we had to go with the chapter name, which no one knew, but there's great, I mean, Eben is in it. He's great. There's all these great actors, Carmack, you know.
And you're great in it.
Thank you. That movie, that one was a tough one. I was really bummed when that one. The other movie that I loved too that didn't totally work. Do you know what I'm gonna say?
Yes.
And I love this movie, and I still can't believe I got to be in a film with this many actors, and I stand by my performance in it. And it just, on the page, it was like one of the best scripts, and it just didn't work, is Air I Breathe. And I got to work with Brendan Fraser, Forrest Whitaker, Kevin Bacon. I'm 1 degree from Kevin Bacon, Julie Delpy.
Andy Garcia.
Oh, God, I love Andy.
Okay, those are all my questions. How do you feel this went?
You've already told me that I'm probably going to kill your show and no one's going to want to watch it anymore. No, I'm kidding. I'm probably going to be the reason the show gets canceled, you know.
Damn it.
Shut up, Evan. Whoa. I mean, shut up, Sarah.
Painless.
This was so painful.
It wasn't. You liked it.
No.
A little.